The summer sun of July 2025 bore witness not to tranquil skies, but to a storm of steel and fire. Southern and eastern Lebanon became the epicenter of a relentless series of preventative airstrikes. The Israeli Air Force, in a calculated and ferocious display of power, initiated a widespread operation designed to dismantle and obliterate suspected military infrastructure. The stated goal was unambiguous: to preemptively cripple any attempts by hostile forces to rebuild their offensive capabilities, ensuring that the embers of past conflicts would not be fanned into a new, devastating flame. This campaign was not a mere skirmish. It was a methodical and overwhelming aerial assault aimed at asserting dominance and neutralizing threats before they could fully materialize, plunging the region into a state of high alert and uncertainty. The operation commenced with a deafening, earth-shaking roar that tore through the dawn. The sleek, menacing silhouettes of F-35 Adir and F-16 Sufa fighter jets clawed their way into the sky, their powerful engines screaming a symphony of impending destruction as dozens of aircraft ascended from heavily fortified Israeli bases. Almost immediately, the air became a lethal corridor of precision missiles and laser-guided bombs, each one a technological marvel of destruction hurtling towards its designated target. These munitions streaked through the Lebanese airspace with terrifying speed, plunging into the heart of Nabatee and the sprawling Bekaa Valley. Within moments, the landscape was violently transformed. Enormous plumes of thick black smoke erupted from weapons depots and clandestine training camps, painting the sky with the grim signature of annihilation. The ground shuddered violently with each successive impact, as massive explosions rocked the foundations of buildings and sent clouds of dust and debris billowing upwards. The local air defense systems desperately tried to counter the onslaught, spitting missiles into the sky in a frantic attempt to intercept the incoming threats. But their efforts were largely futile against the technologically superior and coordinated attack. The majority of their projectiles were neutralized mid-air, their fiery bursts rendered impotent against the iron wall of Israeli electronic countermeasures and interceptors. In the southern city of Nabatee and its surrounding hills, the aerial assault was surgical, yet devastatingly thorough. Advanced Israeli drones, flying at dangerously low altitudes, acted as the eyes of the storm, their sophisticated sensors scanning the terrain for any sign of movement or concealment. They relentlessly scouted for camouflaged vehicles, hidden fortifications, and mobile launch units, feeding real-time intelligence back to the command centers. Based on this live feed, the fighter jets would then swoop down from the heavens like birds of prey, their wings slicing through the air as they dropped their deadly payloads onto suburban areas that harbored suspected military assets. The chilling sound of reinforced metal striking concrete echoed through the streets, a percussive beat in a ballet of destruction. Known rocket launcher positions, identified through weeks of intelligence gathering, were systematically vaporized, leaving behind nothing but craters and twisted metal. As ammunition depots were hit, secondary explosions ripped through them, causing fires to spread uncontrollably and engulfing entire complexes in a sea of flames. The defenders on the ground, caught in this maelstrom, moved with desperate haste across the rugged, hilly terrain, attempting to relocate their assets and evade the ever-watchful eyes in the sky. Their frantic efforts were in vain, as their movements were tracked and met with a punishing second wave of airstrikes, which pounded their new positions with even greater ferocity, leaving them with no safe haven. Simultaneously, in the strategic expanse of the Bekaa Valley, a region historically used for training and logistics, the airstrikes were executed with overwhelming force. The primary focus here was on dismantling the very backbone of the enemy's operational capacity, their training camps and vast storage facilities. Israeli aircraft circled high above, like vultures, methodically and continuously dropping bombs on a grid of suspected targets. The valley floor became a canvas of concussive blasts, with one explosion following another in a rapid, terrifying succession. The once fertile land was engulfed by impenetrable smoke and raging fires, transforming the vast open valley into a vision of hell. The Israelis deployed another deadly tool from their arsenal: kamikaze drones. These unmanned aerial vehicles, packed with explosives, were directed with pinpoint accuracy to crash into air defense radar installations and command posts, creating massive, fiery explosions that blinded the defenders and sowed chaos among their ranks. The entire operation was a masterclass in coordination. with the Israeli Air Force working in lockstep with intelligence units on the ground and in the air. Every strike was guided by precise, up-to-the-minute information. A strategy designed to maximize damage to military targets while deliberately avoiding a full-scale escalation that could draw the entire region into a wider, more catastrophic war. The message was clear: resistance was futile, and every move would be met with disproportionate and overwhelming force. This brutal rhythm of destruction continued throughout the month of July, with the air raids becoming a weekly occurrence. Following the initial blitz, specialized attack helicopters provided crucial support, flying low over the scarred landscapes to conduct battle damage assessments and hunt for any remaining pockets of resistance. Their menacing presence served as a constant reminder that the skies were no longer safe. In response, the defending forces adapted their tactics, attempting to conceal their remaining assets under the cover of darkness. They moved personnel and equipment through the rugged, unforgiving terrain at night, hoping the shadows would provide a shield against the high-tech surveillance. However, the Israeli intelligence network proved to be relentless. This nocturnal movement was quickly detected, and the airstrikes retaliated with swift and brutal precision, destroying the newly discovered targets before they could be redeployed. Each attempt to regroup was met with another punishing blow, creating a cycle of destruction that seemed to have no end. The campaign was a war of attrition fought from the air, a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek, where the seeker held all the advantages, and the consequences for being found were fatal. As July drew to a close, a palpable change occurred in the operational tempo. The intensity of the airstrikes began to decrease, signaling a potential shift in the campaign's objectives. The skies over Nabatee and the Bekaa Valley, though still tense, were no longer perpetually filled with the roar of jet engines. An assessment of the aftermath revealed a scene of widespread devastation. Targeted areas had suffered significant, almost catastrophic damage, with a vast number of military facilities reduced to rubble and smoldering ruins. The infrastructure that had been meticulously built up over years was now either completely destroyed or rendered inoperable, a testament to the sheer destructive power that had been unleashed. The human cost, while not the primary focus of the operation's public narrative, was undeniable. Casualties were reported on both sides, though the figures remained shrouded in the fog of war. The Israeli side, leveraging its technological supremacy and standoff capabilities, reported no significant losses from the airstrikes, a stark contrast to the losses sustained by the defenders. The defending forces not only lost a substantial amount of critical military infrastructure, but also suffered casualties among their personnel, a blow to both their morale and their operational readiness. The month-long campaign had left deep scars on the land and its people, a brutal chapter in the long and troubled history of the region. This preventative air campaign in July 2025 served as a stark and chilling demonstration of the overwhelming superiority of modern air power when combined with cutting-edge intelligence. It showcased the ability of a technologically advanced military to project force and achieve strategic objectives through precise long-range attacks, all without committing ground troops to a perilous and protracted conflict. The attacking side effectively leveraged its fleet of modern aircraft, sophisticated munitions, and an all-seeing surveillance network to methodically dismantle targets with near-surgical precision. Conversely, the defending side, while resourceful in using the difficult terrain for cover and concealment, ultimately struggled to withstand the relentless and continuous pressure of the airstrikes. Their more conventional tactics and equipment were no match for the fifth-generation warfare being waged against them from the skies. The conflict highlighted a growing asymmetry in modern warfare where control of the air and the information domain can be the decisive factor. In the end, the operation achieved its stated goals, but at a significant cost to the stability of the region. A vast number of military infrastructure facilities were either completely destroyed or severely weakened, a crippling blow that significantly slowed down any reconstruction process and delayed the potential for a renewed military buildup. The physical and psychological landscape of southern and eastern Lebanon bore the deep wounds of this conflict, with communities left to grapple with the destruction and the lingering fear of future attacks. While a major all-out war had been averted, the border tensions did not dissipate. Instead, they continued to simmer, a volatile undercurrent in a region already fraught with instability. The preventative strikes, while successful in their immediate military objectives, had sown the seeds of future resentment and retaliation, assuring that the cycle of violence would likely continue, and that true, lasting peace remained an elusive and distant dream.